How is he, Doctor? Is he going to be all right?
Well, good news is he's still alive, but unfortunately, that doom spell that the COVID welder cast on him is so strong that, unfortunately, he might not survive after 2025.
Is there anything that can be done for him?
Well, not to my knowledge. The welder did say that his doom spell is irreversible, especially since your master has never had a relationship with any girls lately. However, all I can say is that make sure he gets a good night's sleep. That way, he can hopefully feel better in the morning and continue with his blog show.
Okay, that seems like a fair plan for now. However, I should still look through my data and see if there could possibly be a miracle that might just save him. Because, as the COVID welder said, once Joshua dies, no one will remember him or look up to him again. In the meantime, Joshua's 10th anniversary with Mustang Prince Orro reports is about 2 days away. So, thank you for your time, Doctor.
Hey everyone, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. And guess what? It's my 10th anniversary! Gee, I can't believe I've been blogging on YouTube for 10 years now. And I think it's great how far I've come over the years. Starting out as a wannabe novice using Cyberlink UCam and Windows Movie Maker before shifting to iMovie, creating a computer AI whom a couple years ago received a voice, having several people collaborate with me in a few of my episodes, and making friends with other reviewers like The Movie Fan, Jay's Watch, and more. Plus, I can't believe that I actually defeated the most sickening and contagious villain ever. And after I recovered yesterday, my computer AI told me that his bat minions have been disintegrated. Sadly, I met a very serious price. The COVID welder put a doom spell on me, and if I don't find an answer to this situation before the end of 2025, then my life will end and I'll be forgotten. Anyway, what do I have in mind today? Well, why don't we look at a film starring the beloved Mickey Mouse? Now, in the past, I've looked at several films and specials starring Mickey and his friends, like Fun and Fancy Free, Fantasia, and Fantasia 2000, 2004's The Three Musketeers, Mickey's House of Villains, and of course, Mickey's Once and Twice Upon a Christmas. And to this day, I still think Mickey is a beloved cartoon legend. Don't worry, Oswald, we still love ya. Also, ever since March, I was really impressed with the new version of Mickey's Toontown at Disneyland, and I think the new Runaway Railway ride is really fantastic and zany. Anyway, what I'll be vlogging today is a very special Mickey Mouse short that was coincidentally released during the exact same year I was born. Released on November 16th, 1990, this is Mickey Mouse in The Prince and the Pauper. And now, on for the film's plot. Long ago, in a land with an ailing king, there was a pair of boys who looked exactly alike. A poor pauper named Mickey, and the other, a wealthy crown prince. Mickey dreams of plenty and an easy life as royalty, and the prince dreams of the freedom as a regular subject. However, happenstance throws them together, and their mutual resemblance inspires the pair to switch identities to see how the other lives. To their surprise, Mickey learns of the duties and responsibility of royal, while the prince learns, to his horror, that the royal captain of the guard has taken advantage of the existing power vacuum to inflict brutal tyranny on the subjects. Now, the prince must react to this evil, unaware that the captain knows about the identity swap and is using it to his own advantage while dominating Mickey, who plays the heir to the throne. So, what do I personally think? Well, I loved it when I was a kid, and I still love it today. And to further explain why I love this short, let's move on to Mustang Notes. The short is based on the classic book of the same name by legendary American author Mark Twain, who also wrote stories about Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn. The short was directed by George Schreiner, who was previously an animator on A Chipmunk Christmas with Chuck Jones and The Black Cauldron. He was a character animator for Heidi's Song, and he was a director for Oliver and Company, and surprisingly of all, Mickey's PhilharMagic. But I'll get to that soon enough. Now, this was Disney's final use of the traditional ink and paint and camera process before the Cap's digital ink and paint process rendered the traditional techniques and equipment obsolete. Some objects, such as the carriage, were created on computers before being printed out on paper and photocopied onto animation cells. The film was the first animated short produced by Disney to accompany the original release of a Disney animated feature. It accompanied Disney's 29th animated feature, The Rescuers Down Under, which I sadly didn't see in theaters because I was only a 2-month-old newborn infant at the time. In other words, I was too young to see a single movie in theaters back then. Also, this film was Disney's last half-hour featurette to be released theatrically until Olaf's Frozen Adventure in 2017. And of course, this was Elvia Allman's final role as Clarabelle Cow before her death in 1992. Now, despite the fact that I never saw this short during its original theatrical release, I saw it a lot on VHS, and I got it on DVD a few months ago. And to this day, I think the animation is classical, even though there is one little goof which happens during the coronation fight. Also, I thought some parts of the film were pretty dark for a Mickey Mouse film, like during the opening prologue. Plus, there are a few funny moments, like during the part where the two Mickeys are going through each other's lives and experiences, only to have not much success and cause disasters everywhere they go. And there are a couple funny chase scenes too. Also to note, I thought the scene where Mickey meets the dying king was the saddest part of the entire film. And I think his last words, where he tells Mickey that he must become king and rule the land justly and wisely, kind of makes you wonder if those were Walt Disney's last words before he died in 1966. Now, before we move on, let's talk about the film's song number, Like a King, performed by Mickey and Goofy. Fun fact, this song is based on the aria Le Donna e Mobile from Act 3 of Giuseppe Verdi's 1850 opera Rigoletto. In my opinion, ever since my early childhood, this is a really sweet song to make you forget about your worries and your troubles. And I really love how Mickey and Goofy make all sorts of things like food and a campfire out of snow. And I liked the part where they pretend to be royal noblemen. Plus, this song gets a reprise at the short's finale where the prince is honored as the new king of England. And now, let's move on to the characters and the voice actors who brought him to life. Mickey Mouse is voiced by the late Wayne Allwine, who sadly passed away in 2009, no thanks to diabetes, and who also voices Prince Mickey. To me, I think Wayne's voice performance for these two twins is really impressive, and I like that Mickey plays as a poor beggar boy who sells kindlings and dreams of an easy life of royalty, and as a wealthy prince who dreams of freedom outside the palace. Also, I really love Mickey's optimism and that he knows how to cheer up his friends when they feel down on their luck. And I like that the prince becomes determined to right the wrongs he's witnessed, and I like that at the end of the short, he makes Mickey and Goofy part of his court. Next we come to Mickey's faithful dog Pluto, vocalized by Bill Farmer. And believe me, he's not the only character whom Bill voices in this short. Anyway, to me, Pluto is still a smart and loyal dog, despite the fact that he chased a royal carriage that was carrying food, including sausages, into the palace. Also, like most dogs, Pluto has a great sense of smell, which could explain how he knows that the prince is not Mickey. Also, I liked the part where Pluto bites Captain Pete in the butt for being held hostage and for forcing Mickey to be his puppet king. Next we have Goofy, also voiced by Bill Farmer. Now, while Goofy can be clumsy sometimes, I still think he's a great friend to Mickey. And during this short, he tries to make a living by selling snow cones. Also, I like that Goofy manages to save the prince not once, but twice. Once by running on a pile of barrels to roll over and flatten the guards, and the other by sneaking into the palace, disguised as an executioner, knocking out one of the guards with an axe, and uses the keys to unlock the dungeon cell. Also, I found it pretty funny that during the dungeon escape chase scene, the part where Goofy touches a knife seemed like a recycled scene from The Wind in the Willows, in a way. Our next character is Donald Duck, voiced by Tony Anselmo, who also had a hand in animating Donald in this featurette. In this film, Donald plays as the prince's valet, who usually gets pranked and tormented during his lessons, which really ticks him off and gets him into trouble. However, underneath his short temper, Donald still has a good heart, like when he hugs the prince in relief after he was tossed into the dungeons. Also, I thought Donald's funniest moment was when Goofy absent-mindedly uses him as an arrow. We also have Horace Horsecollar, character number 3, voiced by Bill Farmer. To me, like Clarabelle Cow and Clara Cluck, Horace has got to be one of the most underrated characters in Mickey's gang. During this short, Horace plays as the prince's stuffy and pompous tutor who teaches him boring lessons like trigonometry. And while he can be a bit mellow, the one time where he's not is when he reprimands Donald and shoos him out of the classroom after getting hit by a projectile. Also, when Mickey and the prince trade places, Horace doesn't seem to notice the switch and continues to give the prince his daily lessons. Plus, he's the one who informs Mickey that the king wishes to see him in his last few hours before he dies. Next we come to the Weasel Guards, who are voiced by Bill Farmer and Charlie Adler. For those who don't know, these guys appeared in The Wind in the Willows, Mickey's Christmas Carol, and DuckTales, and they were the inspiration for the Toon Patrol in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. In this short, they appear as Pete's henchmen as the English king's military force. However, in secret, they act more like ruthless crooks that constantly rob the poor in the ill king's name. To me, these guys are both menacing but pretty silly at times. Plus, I thought their meanest moment is when one of them throws a pumpkin on the prince's head when he tries to stop them from stealing a hen. Also, during the scene where Captain Pete and his weasel soldiers pass by Mickey and Goofy during the beginning of the film, the Weasel Guards sing an alternate version of the Mickey Mouse Club song while praising their captain. Next we come to the villain of the story, Captain Pete, voiced by Arthur Bernhardt, whom I remember as Devastator in Transformers the movie and Destro in G.I. Joe the movie. Now, we all know that Pete is Disney's oldest character and villain ever made. And in this short, he plays as the ruthless captain of the Royal Guard, bent on robbing and terrorizing the Kingdom of England with an army of weasels at his disposal. To me, Pete is very corrupt, greedy, and abusive due to him taking advantage of the king's illness to be a tyrant in his name. And while he's no Jim Cummings or Bill Bletcher, I think Arthur Bernhardt does a great job voicing Pete. Later on, after he finds out that the boy he catapulted out of the palace was indeed the prince, Pete begins making plans to get rid of him. First, he blackmails Mickey into being his puppet king, otherwise he'll kill Pluto, and he locks up the real prince to hide witnesses about the identity switch. Thankfully, Pete and the Weasels get their comeuppance by getting entangled in a chandelier and roll out the window. And finally, the narrator is voiced by the late, great Roy Dotrice, who you might remember for narrating most of the Disney read-along books. And now, on to my final words. Overall, The Prince and the Pauper is an excellent Disney short, and it still remains a childhood favorite of mine. The animation is classical. It does a great job at adapting Mark Twain's story, even though it's been a really long time since I read it at my local library. Several parts range from zany, emotional, and dark. The voice acting is both spectacular and legendary, and I like the roles that Mickey Mouse and his pals play while telling the story. So, if you haven't seen it yet, be sure to check it out either on DVD or on Disney+. And believe me, it's a short that every Disney fan should watch, especially if they have children. I give it a full 100%. Well, that's all for now. Join me next time as we look at a DreamWorks sequel starring the beloved Zorro-styled swords cat, Puss in Boots. Here's to my 10th anniversary, and may Mustang Prince Orro reports continue for many years to come. Mustang Power!